In previous videos, we worked on basic balance progressions, including the squat balance on low and high bars, as well as walking across bars and bailing off of them, and precision landings. Today, we're going to talk about some advanced drills and bailing skills to give you more confidence and mobility on heights and improve your balancing. The first drill that we've got uses the squat balance that you learned in the previous video, starting here. Have a good mastery of this position before you move on to this next challenge. The next drill involves pivoting. So on the balls of your toes, when you're in this position, you're going to try to pivot on your toes from your hips and torso and face sideways. If you feel like you've got that, you can return to start position and try it the opposite direction. And back. So this pivot drill is aimed to give you more mobility on bars. So an example, you start by walking across, you want to turn around, you can crouch down low, pivot, turn 180 degrees, stand up, and continue going the opposite direction. So pivots are a great way, again, to gain a little bit more mobility on bars. As a more advanced version of that drill, you can also practice the pivots from a higher center of gravity, so like standing. However, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because the lower you get, the more stable you are. So I just performed the same pivot, but just from standing up. It's a great way to kind of improve that balance there. You can practice stationary pivots where you go back and forth both directions as many times as you can until you fall off. And if you fall off, doing a nice safe landing. And of course, practice on low bars if necessary at first. Those are great drills. Utilizing the pivots, again, gain more mobility. This is another one. So in the perch, actually I'll face this way. So starting in the perch, this is a more advanced version of the pivot, done right from a low position. And what you're going to do here is, if I wanted to face the opposite direction, I could start that turn. And once I get to this halfway point, I'm going to pick up my back leg and switch. And now I'm facing the opposite direction. So this is what I call a 180 degree pivot. Okay, and then you can get a little bit faster, and it almost becomes like you are actually spinning around on that foot. Let's try it one more time. See how many times around I can get. Oh, didn't fall off yet. And of course, practice both directions. Okay. Another skill for more bar mobility is quick steps on rails. So what we've already learned is when we're walking across bars, we take steps with our toes pointing along the bar, and this allows us to balance side to side. And this is good for slow balancing. But what happens if I want to quickly cross the rail? One thing I don't want to do is step with a straight foot, because there's less surface area side to side, and the chance of me missing my foot on the bar is greater. So instead, I want to turn my foot out to the side, so the inside of my foot is facing forward. And the first step that I'm going to take is going to be a sideways. Now this isn't going to help us balance, but it's going to help us take a quick step on the bar without worrying about missing our feet. Let me demonstrate. So this helped me get more mobility on the bar, and I can take as many steps as I need to, but the idea is that I stay moving. So I don't want to stop in this position because this is a lot harder to balance. Okay, so I want to keep myself moving, even if it's just quick steps. I'm using that to keep myself moving. And because I have a lot of surface area with my foot, I can then push off if needed and land safely. Now there are two variations with these quick steps. One that I recommend. One is the penguin walk, where each step is with the inside of your foot facing forwards, so it becomes like a penguin walk. The next is a crossover, where you actually grapevine, and the second step that you take is with the outside, and then you cross over with your steps. Let me demonstrate that one more time. Inside, outside, inside, and that's a crossover. So 2 variations for the quick step, but again, helping us get across bars a little bit more quickly. The last drill that we'll focus on today is aimed to give us a little bit more confidence balancing up at heights. Now, one thing that concerns a lot of people is the impact that you'll take if you fall off. So that's what we're aimed to do, is reduce that impact through grabbing onto the bar as we descend and aiming to hang underneath when we're finished. So the first step to build this skill is to practice being in a perch on a medium-sized bar. And when we lose our balance, we're going to try to put our hands on the bar, get a firm grip. That was a backwards one. I'm already facing the bar. If I fall forwards, I want to have one hand on the bar, turn myself, and then grab on with the other hand. And what this is going to allow me to do is to end up hanging on the bar when I'm up higher. One more thing we have to consider is that we don't want to get too far away from the bar, because then we're going to end with a swing. Instead, when I'm losing my balance, I want to try to pull myself as close to the bar as possible. Balancing, and when I lose my balance, I actually want to stay close and then move closely around the bar. And I'll demonstrate that here quickly, but that's going to make sure I don't have momentum when I'm underneath and in a swing where I could lose control and slip off. Once you're confident that you can grab onto the bar once losing your balance, it should give you the confidence up here to be able simply to get into your balance. And when you lose that, again, grab on and control yourself into a hang, okay? Now, a prerequisite of this before you try this is to at least make sure that you can hang and hold your body weight for 5 seconds on a bar if it's above head height and there's risk of the drop. And better yet, if you can at least perform 1 pull-up or hold yourself up here, that strength is going to be beneficial as well. So, first step, getting onto the bar. You can use those pivots to help you get into that squat balance. And then if I were to lose my balance, I want to keep myself close and then end in the hang underneath. You notice it was very fast, so it might take some practice at first. Might take some practice at first to get used to it. I'll show you one more what it might look like at first, and this is acceptable as well, if you're confident. Okay, so again, using that pivot. And so at first, it might just look like a controlled descent, like that. And I'd only recommend doing this, again, if you're confident with your basic landing skills, as well as being able to support yourself in a full hang. But as you can see, I was able to descend from that balance safely, as well as minimizing any impact by being able to grab onto that bar on the way down.